What's going on, you guys? It's Ron here with your second stimulus check update and stimulus package update. I hope you guys are doing very well. The stimulus check news and stimulus package updates just keep coming in, you guys. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what just happened. Do you guys remember when Joe Manchin recently claimed that he won't be voting for the stimulus check of $2,000? Now, we thought that, most of the battle was actually won when the Democrats took over the Senate. In terms of the majority, it's 50-50, but you've got Kamala Harris sitting in as the vice president, so she's the tiebreaker. So you're pretty much really, at a 51-50 type of relationship in terms of the members in the Senate. What Joe Manchin said, that led to a lot of confusion among people and a lot of concern. This confusion even made the stock market fall down all at once, which was very surprising that a single member in Congress kind of caused this to happen. But thankfully, the interviewer who interviewed Joe Manchin and his press secretary later on provided the people with the complete context. And, the complete context or lack of context is usually what causes a lot of confusion. But anyway, the complete context of the entire stimulus check related talk with Joe Manchin. And, let's just say that there were some very good things in there as well. So, today, let's go over some of these things and hopefully I can address some of y'all's questions concerning stimulus checks, Joe Manchin. And, I've been getting so many questions about this. I decided to just kind of make a quick video for you guys to hopefully add some clarity on this one. So this one came from Mark Twig. He says, what about Joe Manchin, Mini Mitch? And, again, we thought that, the Democrats taking over the majority or having that slim little lead in terms of the majority in the Senate was enough to kind of make it smooth sailing in terms of stimulus checks, in terms of Joe Biden and the Biden administration being able to kind of pass through what they wanted to pass through. And what he's saying here is, did we trade off Mitch for a mini Mitch? So let me add a little bit of clarity on this one here. So the interview released is not the complete context, but it does a good job of giving, a clear picture of what Joe Manchin said regarding the $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, during the interview, the interviewer asked, last thing I want to ask you, should getting more COVID relief out be job one, particularly stimulus checks? Now, to this, Joe Manchin answered, absolutely not. No. But this was not the complete context, you guys. And what he was actually saying, and the media made a very big deal about it, without seeing the full picture. Okay, so according to Joe Manchin, stimulus checks are not job one, but rather getting people vaccinated and warp speed vaccination is job one, at least according to Joe Manchin. You see, according to the context that we have at our hands, Joe Manchin claims that they put out more than $4 trillion already. And they're not sure if they're getting the stimulus checks out to the right people, because what they're saying is that people getting the stimulus checks are the ones who are still working and who are still getting a paycheck. So it's a little bit of an unsure situation here. And of course, the mainstream media didn't give us the right view, the full context, right? So anyway, guys, now you guys know exactly what Joe Manchin meant was that these checks aren't the priority and getting rid of COVID is what the main goal is. I hope this makes a little bit more sense to you guys. All right, so let's move on past that. So the interviewer then asked Manchin, about what he has to say regarding Senator Chuck Schumer campaigning for the $2,000 stimulus checks in Georgia. Now, to this, according to the raw script that was released, Joe Manchin said that they have a difference of opinion. He's keeping it real political, differences of opinion, right? So then the interviewer confirms by asking once again whether vaccinations are the priority for Manchin and stimulus checks are not, meaning like, hey, are you saying, you're only focusing on vaccinations and stimulus checks are not a priority? Like he was really like pressing Joe Manchin on a specific response to this question. So to this, Joe Manchin claims that the warp speed vaccinations are indeed number one priority. He also told the interviewer that in order to get the economy back on track, and get the jobs back to ensure that the people can actually get to have social interactions again, that warp speed vaccination is number one top priority. So as you guys can see, Joe Manchin is not saying no to the stimulus checks, but instead, he actually just had like another matter that was on the top of his list, which was a top priority. So he's not saying no to the stimulus. I don't think he's going to block it, but I think that his focus is probably just a little bit more on vaccination. So in order to clarify this to the interviewer, Manchin also said, I think you asked me, is my first priority the $2,000? I said, no, my first priority is basically vaccination. So Joe Manchin said that he wants people to be able to go back to work and earn checks again. And we actually just heard from Joe Manchin yesterday, And since his original statements that created this whole, big fuss and cause for alarm, we're getting a lot more clarity from him now. And I wanted to share a quick clip with you guys with Joe Manchin so we can get a lot more clarity on that. But let's go ahead and listen in.
Okay, so you've given some mixed messages on whether you support sending $2,000 checks to Americans who earn $75,000 or less. Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, as well as your new Senate colleagues, Ossoff and Warnock, all support sending these larger checks. Are you on board, yes or no?
Jake, that's not a yes or no question. I'm on board by helping people that need help, people that really can't make it, people that don't have a job. They can't put food on their table. I'm in total support of helping them. Sending checks to people that basically already have a check and aren't going to be able to spend that or not going to spend it, usually are putting it in their savings account right now. That's not who we are. That we have done an awful lot of that. It's time now to target where the money goes. Make sure the people in need. I have people in West Virginia that can't go back to work because there's not a job to go to. I have businesses that can't open up. Don't you think we should be helping them first? And Jake, we're talking about everything else. Why can't we just do something that basically puts people back to work? Infrastructure. If you want to spend $2 or $3 trillion, invest it in infrastructure. FDR did it in 32, and basically we saw WPA and CCC. I've played ball and gone to schools to where that was built back in the 30s.
Okay.
There's a lot we can do to put people back to work.
So yes on a big infrastructure bill, no on the $2,000 checks because they're not targeted enough. I only have a minute left, so I just want to do
if they're targeted, if they're targeted, I am all for targeting,
but not just anybody who makes under $75,000.
He's not saying no.
Not carte blanche across the board.
It's tough getting a senator to do a lightning round.
I swear you can just never get a direct yes or no or specific date from any political figure. Like, they always dance around the question. But anyway, according to Joe Manchin, if they are to send out stimulus checks, it would be done so under the supervision of proper economists so that they can let them know exactly how to do it and who are the people that need these stimulus checks the most. So you see what I mean, guys? He's really not against the stimulus checks. He just wants to get them out in the right way. So Joe further clarified that he isn't up for sending stimulus checks to people who already have their jobs and are already getting paychecks and, would literally just get a stimulus check and throw it in the bank. But instead, he pretty much wants the people with no jobs and people, who have gotten their businesses shut down to be one of the first ones receiving the stimulus checks, as they are the ones that are clearly in the most need. And here's the words of Joe Manchin that will surely make you guys think about whether or not his approach is the right one or not. He says, can't we start some infrastructure program to help people get them back on their feet? Do we keep sending checks out? But what do you guys think? Should they focus on creating an infrastructure to kind of help people get back to work? Should the focus be on getting stimulus checks out to the American people? Should it be a combination of both? Drop me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys. And, also the press secretary of Joe Manchin also clarified by saying that Joe isn't against sending stimulus checks out, but it's absolutely not his first priority. And so that means he's not necessarily trying to block the stimulus checks. So, to the previous commenter that I talked to, or that I shared with you guys earlier, I don't think we were trading Mitch McConnell for a mini Mitch. I just think that, there's a difference in priorities rather than, not wanting stimulus checks to go out altogether. So I hope I've added a little bit of clarity. Maybe we can kind of see a little bit better where Joe Manchin's coming from on this one. And according to the same secretary, Joe Biden did talk about the need of getting direct stimulus relief out to small businesses and families. And he also talked about the $15 per hour minimum wage increase. And this was good to know because they are concerned about the welfare of the people in this regard. So when we look at the big picture, did it seem clear about everything regarding Joe Manchin? I hope I added some clarity. Got a lot of questions on, several videos recently about Joe Manchin, so I hope I answered that for you guys. But anyway, guys, that's all for the stimulus check update and stimulus package update. If you have not already, definitely check out the big M. You should see a big M here, up, down, left, right. I don't even know where it is on the screen. Click the big M, subscribe to Matters channel. They have one of the most amazing, most interesting, and entertaining videos on YouTube. I'm really not even sure why they're not on Netflix. It's that good. And so many of you guys have already subscribed and enjoyed the content. Anyway, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be running a giveaway with those guys coming up here soon. Make sure you're a part of it. All you have to do is subscribe to their channel, watch one full video, and you'll be entered to win. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.